Jeremiah 4:19. I am pained at my very heart. My heart maketh a noise in me. I cannot hold my peace, because thou hast heard, O my soul, the sound of the trumpet, the alarm of war. After a peace of almost 30 years, during which we have employed unparalleled prosperity, we are plunged into a disastrous conflict, gloomy in its aspect, fearful in its progress, and veiled as to its termination in dreadful uncertainty. The prospect before us is truly dark and alarming, and every friend of peace, liberty, and religion must be pained at the very heart, and deeply regret our melancholy condition. When the object of war is plunder and conquest, if successful, it may for a time enhance a nation's treasures, but such cannot be the object of the present war. The British provinces in America are of importance to that nation in relation to their extensive commerce, but to us they would be of no use, especially after the annihilation of our commerce. What is our hope of success and profit upon the ocean? Will the thunder of our Navy silence the roar of the British lion? Will the American eagle tear out the lion's eye and eat his flesh? Will our mighty fleet sweep from the ocean 1,000 ships of war? Where are the fleets and navies of those nations of Europe which joined the despot of the contingent against Great Britain in a war of extermination? In their fate, we may read an instructive lesson. What is the prospect before us in regard to our commerce? Will God work for us a constant miracle, that we may pursue a lucrative trade to all quarters of the world in spite of our enemies, whose cruisers cover the ocean? Or shall we send out cruisers so many, so strong, as to be able to take 2 prizes to our enemy's 1, and gain twice as much as we shall lose? Instructed by sad experience, this prospect promises nothing. The hope is forlorn. Hitherto, the balance of gain and loss is immensely against us, and if this war be long protracted, I believe we shall be compelled to abandon the ocean. Will not the war then be destructive to the property of the nation? Yes. Money, the great sinew of war, must be obtained, but we must quit the contest, and these excessive burdens must be imposed upon innocent people. Those who view the signs of the times in the light of prophecy, who have made the most diligent research and are the most competent to understand these deep things of God, are more and more convinced that terrific power is to make war upon the church. In the final approaching struggle, it is to be overcome and destroyed by the wrath of the Lamb. Those who shall be in alliance with that power will be found fighting against God and must share in the fate of his enemies. Another distressing effort of a bloody war is the influence it has upon the happiness and lives of the people, the confusion and dismay which pervade all ranks of society in those places, which are near the scenes of warfare or are imminently exposed to the attacks of the enemy, cannot be realized, but by those who have experienced such shocking alarms. When the declaration of war reached towns and families on the frontier, one witnessed a scene of confusion and dismay that would have pained us in our very hearts. But what is this bloodiest misery and alarm compared with the thousands and hundreds of thousands by sea and land who will perish in this war, if it come not to a speedy close? Ah, how painful to the benevolent heart to view hundreds of thousands of immortal souls plunged into eternity in all their unpardoned guilt, and hurried in despair to the tribunal of a righteous God. Should our government in Great Britain adopt the common practice of belligerent nation to do to each other all the injury in their power, no tongue can express the scenes of blood and wretchedness which we should shortly behold. Our defenseless seacoast for 1,500 miles is exposed to the floating batteries of the British Navy. Our most populous and flourishing towns and cities they might quickly lay to ashes. Such, my brethren, are some of the circumstances which render a bloody warfare, in the present in particular, distressing to every enlightened and benevolent mind, The evils are very imperfectly depicted, but in view of this portrait, is not everyone who has proper feelings on the solemn subject ready to exclaim with the prophet in the text, I am pained in my very heart. I cannot hold my peace, because thou hast heard, O my soul, the sound of the trumpet, the alarm of war.
Over hill, over dale, we have hit the dusty trail as those caissons go rolling along. In and out, hear them shout, counter marching right about as those caissons go rolling along. When it's high, high here, the field artillery, sound off your numbers loud and strong. Where'er you go, the people always know that those caissons go rolling along. Hill over dale, we have hit the dusty trail as those caissons go rolling along. In and out, hear them shout, counter marching right about as those caissons go rolling along. When it's high, high here, the field artillery, sound off your numbers loud and strong. Where'er you go, the people always know that those caissons go rolling along. Those caissons go rolling along.
I would like to call up our town administrator, Derek Sullivan. Derek actually had the idea for the trees that we're going to be planting, and I'd like him to talk to you about them just briefly.
There's nothing better than a complete surprise like Nan just sprung on me right now. So this is a little extension of the time. I do appreciate you allowing me to be a part of this. The town's history is amazing and deep, and that's one of the things when you think about the trees that Nan had brought forward and said, well, we'd like to plant a tree, and we said, well, how about a tree not just for the past but for the present and then for the future. One of the things about the trees is, you know, if you open them up, the rings not only tell the time, but they can tell what events had happened. You can see if there were fires during that time, and there's other information you can gather from it. So we think of the tree as longevity will will live as the town lives on, and we hope they will grow for a nice, bright future like our town is surely to have. So thank you very much.
Two of the trees that we are going to be planting are chestnuts. And so we become part of a group who is trying to restore the chestnut to America. It's not easy to do, but we're determined. And unfortunately, that means we can't plant a tree now because they have to be in early in the spring, or they will not have time to root properly before the summer heat hits. One of the things I would like to do to go with that planting is a Northwest Indian tradition that when you plant something that you want to grow, you put your wishes with it. And so I've brought pen and paper, and everyone can get to write a wish on this paper. We will save it until we plant in the spring, and those wishes will go into the roots with the tree, and your wishes will be carried to the Creator. So that will be part of today's service. Because we're not hanging the flag at this moment, I guess I'm going to ask our militia to come forward and introduce themselves, if they would, please. We're going to have a great weekend this weekend. It's 2 days of some of the most amazing recreated history and just time spent where you can see the way our ancestors lived. This is going to be incredible. So could I ask, Howie, could you bring the militia up, please?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lieutenant Howard Smith from the Wareham Minutemen and Militia Companies, and I would like each individual to state their name and their rank individually.
Sergeant David Maxim.
Private Kerry Johnson.
Private Dan Davis.
Private Wilfred Provo.
Am I correct in our militia has never disbanded from 1976? Guys? Yes? No? Yes? Yes. Well, I don't know if they're still incorporated from 1776. Okay, so that's incredible. That's incredible. No, these guys aren't from 1776, but before we close, we have one more song, and you are encouraged to sing along, but this will be the final song of our program.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we were so gallantly streaming,